Here. All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to Who's Getting Sued this week, brought to you by NPL Legal Dish. I am the host, Natalie Pierre-Lewis. My apologies for not being here last week. I was still feeling under the weather, and if you watched my last broadcast, I was kind of scratchy, and it just wasn't looking too cute. So I took the week off, but now I'm back. All right. So we have tons of stories for us to go through tonight. So I'm just gonna get it started, and you guys can, give me, you guys can chime in wherever. All right. Hello to my friends who are popping in on StreamYard. So we're broadcasting on StreamYard to Facebook, to YouTube, and to Instagram. Okay. Okay. So our first story of the evening. Now we've all done it in the past, but if you have ever stolen something, not necessarily stolen, we all bring stuff home from work, right? Usually it's pens or some type of office supplies. But if you have ever taken office supplies from work, um give me a pair of scissors in the comments. If you have ever taken office supplies from work, give me a pair of scissors in the comments, okay? Now, of course, everybody takes supplies home from work, but this is the case where taking supplies from your job could cost you your freedom. There is a gentleman by the name of Stephen R. Hale. He is 37 years old and he hails from Memphis, Tennessee. Okay. Now, Mr. Hale is currently facing up to 20 years 20 years of prison because one, he was stealing. First, he worked at a DVD distribution company. So the companies that prepare the DVDs to go to Target or wherever they sell DVDs nowadays, he worked at a company that prepped that, right? So he was stealing pre-released copies of movies like Venom. Let me pull that picture up real quick. Excuse me. Let me pull the picture up so I can give y'all a visual. Yes. So the movies that he was stealing the copies of, it's not like they were old movies. They were pretty recent. Like Venom, the second Venom movie. What else did they say? Basically new releases, right? As well as what he would do was he would steal the DVDs and then he would, upload them onto the internet so that people could watch. Aside from that, he was also stealing the DVDs and Blu-rays, from the job site, which is theft of goods. So the company that he was working for, they found out, of course, he was fired. But now there is a lawsuit against him that has been filed by the Department of Justice. Now, this is not, filed by his old job. This is not being filed by the movie houses who are affected. This is by the Department of Justice. This is a branch. This is a government organization, okay? Because they are saying that because of his actions of uploading these pre-release copies to the internet, it cost tens of millions of dollars of losses, right? So like I said, Mr. Hale, he is currently facing up to 20 years of prison because he has 2 counts of criminal copyright infringement, which each comes with a 5-year sentence. And he also has 1 count of stolen goods of transporting stolen goods, when he stole the actual DVDs and Blu-rays, and that comes with a 10-year sentence. So I say that to say this, ladies and gentlemen, don't steal from your jobs. No, but really, if you are in an industry where you are privy to copyrighted information, meaning private information that is being used to make money or that belongs to someone else, you're putting yourself in a whole lot of trouble. Copyrights are real. Like these DVDs that this gentleman was stealing, right? The company has to pay for those DVDs from the movie houses, right? And wherever they get distributed to, they get paid from those vendors. So you have essentially robbed your workplace as well as the film industry, right? And while we've all taken some pens, some notebooks, highlighters, I'm not going to go down for tens of millions of dollars of losses at the workplace. So if you work any place where they're distributing movies or music, you're going to want to be careful. All right? Okay. Let's move on to our next story. So stop screen. All right. So our next story. This is for my songwriters out there. Okay. If you are a person who creates music, you have probably heard of this organization called ASCAP. As ASCAP, they are essentially a nonprofit that defends the rights of songwriters and musicians, right? So they are currently in a process of suing several venues around the country for unlawfully playing music at their venues. So when you have something like a concert hall or some type of performance place where live productions take place or where people come to hear music, you have to have a license. So there's a place here called, what is it, Throw Social, right? It's a huge place, and they have like this nightclubby area where they have DJs, but they have to have a license to be able to play that music, to have the DJs there, right? ASCAP is saying that a lot of these venues have not bothered to get the licenses to play their music because there's royalties that come with having your music played at live events, right? So if you haven't gotten the licensing from ASCAP to play this music at live events, you are essentially stealing from the creators. So ASCAP they're getting all their money together. They're figuring out which of you venues are playing the music, but you're doing it without our permission, right? Copyrights give you the right to say who can use your work and for what, right? And if someone wants to use your work, more often than not, they're going to have to pay for it. So these venues haven't paid for it, so they might have to pay for it on the back end with all of these lawsuits, okay? So if you're thinking about opening up a live music venue, remember to get your licenses in order for to make sure that the music you're playing is covered. All right. So now those were kind of the warm-up stories. Now we're getting into the real nitty-gritty of things. So I want y'all to hold on to your hats. And I want you to hear this bizarre story that features, a very controversial figure who, at this point, I figure you either love him or you hate him. You might even pity him because this man is unmedicated and uncounseled. Obviously, this is Kanye West, okay? I don't know Kanye has not. I can't remember the last time Kanye was in the news for something positive. Anyway, so if you remember a few years ago, around 2021, Kanye opened up a school called the Donda Academy, right? And everybody was kind of excited about this. It was going to be a world-class education, a private school, but things quickly started crumbling right from the beginning, right? The school quickly closed, and because teachers were worried about what was going on in the school, so Kanye essentially closed down the school and fired the teachers and didn't pay them, right? Two specific teachers. uh, the trial for this wrongful termination and unpaid wages lawsuit was about to happen. It was days away, but apparently Kanye has settled right before the trial starts. And some are speculating that it is because Kanye didn't want these facts to come out about the Donda Academy. There were a lot of issues. For example, the school did not have accreditation. In order for when you graduate from a school, if that school has to be accredited, meaning it has to be given the blessing by the educational boards and things, and saying you can get a proper education at this school. Kanye's school did not have this. The school did not have any nurses or janitors. And mind you, this is an elementary school. You know how messy kids are? No nurses, and how they hurt themselves by accident. No nurses and no janitors. They also were not following nutritional guides for feeding children in school. Apparently Kanye was spending, $10,000 on sushi lunches for the kids. There were also very troubling rules. The children had to eat on the floor without utensils. No chairs were allowed in the school. So students had to either sit on these foam blocks or on the floor, and teachers either had to stand or sit on a stool. Okay. So these are all very troubling things to be going on at a school. And I don't think that Kanye wanted all of this out in the public, even though, we hear this now. We're hearing this now. Kanye has decided to settle this this lawsuit with the teachers, probably because he didn't want these to come out, right? But in terms of having your ducks in a row, everybody was really gung-ho about Kanye starting this school. And the thing is, you can have a great idea, you can have a great business idea, you can have a great school idea, but if you don't have your legal ducks in a row, if you don't have your business ducks in a row, things are going to crumble quickly. How do you have a school with no accreditation? How do you have a school where you are supposed to be, caring for children with no janitors and no nurses? How are there uh how are there no chairs? Why are these kids eating sushi? What if they're allergic to sea? Anyway, but yeah. So Kanye settled that lawsuit for wrongful termination and unpaid wages right before the lawsuit was trial was supposed to start. Okay. Um, Kanye, get help, please. Gosh. Okay. Um, Next story that we are talking about. This is a cautionary tale about why you need contracts for everything. Okay? Everything. 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 Where'd it go? Okay, there we go. Here we go. Share. All right. If you don't know who this beautiful young lady on here is, on the screen is, this is Journey Smollett. Journey Smollett has been gracing our televisions and movie screens for the majority of my life. Journey Smollett has been acting since she was about 4 years old. She has a lot of brothers and sisters. I think there's like 8 of them. I remember they had a show that was all of them together starring in the show. And of course, she has her brother Jussie. Um, but we've seen, Journey Smollett work and, just doing her thing in Hollywood. Unfortunately, while Journey is seeing a lot of success career wise, her marriage is her marriage is causing some turmoil. Now, Journey Smollett has been divorced for some time. Her and her husband have been divorced for about 4 years, and he gets $7,000 a month in spousal support, as well as he got a $1 million payout from Journey. Right now, keep in mind they were married from 2010 to 2019, so 9 years, not an insignificant period of time, right? But now, 4 years after the divorce, blah, 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 the divorce has been finalized. Journey Smollett's ex-husband now feels like, not feels like, but he is suing to get part of her retirement, right? He's saying that any profits that she made to her retirement funds during their marriage, he wants a piece of, right? Now, he and Journey did not have a prenup when they got married, right? They did not have a prenup. 2010, I'm not sure what Journey's career was looking like, but usually, when we don't have a lot of assets, we're not necessarily worried about prenups. But I feel like when you're in Hollywood, you never know when something might pop. So you just have to, really look out for yourself. Either way, Journey did not have a prenup with her now ex-husband, and now ex-husband is going back to Journey and saying, hey, whatever growth you had in your retirement account during the time that we were married, I want a piece of that, right? So now a judge is going to have to decide whether he gets that, right? Now, I'm not debating whether he deserves it or not, but this is one of the many reasons why you need a prenup, especially if you have or expect to have a lot of assets, right? You don't want to, like, look at what's her name? Mary J. Blige. Mary J. Blige had to, essentially give up half her money to her husband because they did not have a prenup. Mind you, this man was shacked up with another woman in an apartment that she was paying for, right? So this is what I look, and I tell you this, whether it's contracts or marriage or whatever. Look, marriage, love, great, but marriage is also a business arrangement. When you have some type of business arrangement, you need a contract. All right, whoever you're going into business with, your husband, your parents, your children, your pastor, I don't care who it is. You need a contract to say who does what, when, where, and how much, and whatever, right? It just eliminates so much confusion. Now, I hope the best for Journey. I'm not going to say whether her husband, should get that money or not. They were married for a significant amount of time. But I don't even know if her I feel like Journey really started popping off in Lovecraft Country, or am I just forgetting all the anyway? But good luck to Journey. Okay. Uh, Let me remove this. If you have just tuned in, you are watching NPL. No, you're watching Who's Getting Sued This Week, brought to you by NPL Legal Dish. I am Natalie Pierre Lewis. I'm the host of the show. I'm also a business and trademark attorney. If you are interested in starting your business in the year 2025 and you need some help, holla at your girl. I can get you started in 7 days or less, and you can do that. Why don't you go and book yourself a free 15-minute consultation? Okay. All right. Next story that we are talking about tonight. Let's see. I don't know if all of you are going to recognize this guy, without, the flashy videos and stuff, but this is Daddy Yankee. Now, we know Daddy Yankee for the hits such as Dame más gasolina, Dame más gasolina, right? And he also has that song Rompe, 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 Rompe. Daddy Yankee is rich, okay? Daddy Yankee, I think he was like the top grossing something. Daddy Yankee has made a lot of money over the years. And But he is currently in divorce proceedings with his wife of 30 years. Can you imagine that? You've been with somebody for 30 years and then it's over. Apparently she filed for divorce from him, but on top of that, Daddy Yankee is suing his soon-to-be ex-wife and her sister for breach of contract, mismanagement of funds, breach of fiduciary duties, and defamation. So apparently, Daddy Yankee's wife and her sister were running one of his businesses or a couple of his businesses, but they were mismanaging the funds, right? Um, they were mismanaging the funds. So money started going missing, and I guess investors were like, hey, what's going on? So Daddy Yankee took back control of the companies. But before he did that, his soon to be ex wife and her sister liquidated $100 million from his company. So now Daddy Yankee is suing them for that money and for all of the things I listed, breach of K. Listen, when you have a business, you can't just hire anybody to run it, right? Like, yes, that's his wife of 30 years, but they still should have had some type of checks and balances in place. Where was the rest of the board that was helping to run this company? It's her and her sister. There's too much that can go wrong in there, and now you're down $100 million trying to get it back from your wife, who probably already spent it or has it down in some place where you ain't gonna get it back. So while we feel for Daddy Yankee in this situation, look, he married his wife 30 years ago. They probably had no idea life was going to turn out this way, and they'd been through thick and thin, but money changes people. Money changes people, and you have to protect yourself even from those you love the most. Unfortunately, that's just what it is in this world. So Daddy Yankee is now trying to get 100 million, or suing his soon to be ex-wife and her sister for $100 million, because not only did they mismanage the funds, but they also ruined his business. So that's giving him a bad name in the streets. So good. I don't know if he's going to be able to get any of that back from them. Maybe a little bit. I mean, how soon can you spend $100 million? But we will see if he gets any. Let me know in the comments. Do you think that Daddy Yankee is going to see one red cent of that $100 million? Excuse me, that he is suing for? And it's like, it's unfortunate that it be your own people. It be your own people that are trying to ruin you and take you down, because sometimes people, because I don't know, they just lose all sense of right and wrong. I don't get it. Listen, you can leave me in a whole room with all your money, okay? I'm not touching a dime. Now I might eat your French fries. I can, French fries are not safe around me, but your money is. Okay. All right. Let me take this down. Good luck to Daddy Yankee. All right. Our next. Ooh, friends, we have an update on the. Where is this? I gotta find. Bum, bum, bum. Where is it? Here we go. There we go. Okay. So, we haven't talked about him in a few weeks, but if you hadn't heard, Drake has settled his lawsuit against iHeartMedia. Okay. Now, If you remember, Drake was accusing UMG and iHeartMedia of a payola scam to get Not Like Us played. Uh, Now we were waiting for that trial to start as well, but apparently it has settled. iHeartMedia has settled with Drake. Drake accused them of payola, um, and but it's been settled now. iHeartMedia says that they have not paid anything to Drake. But this lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice, meaning that Drake can't go back later and change his mind and say, "Oh, forget it. I still want to sue y'all." So essentially, him and Drake and iHeartMedia came to a meeting of the minds. But I don't really believe it when iHeartMedia says that they didn't provide any payments to Drake. Maybe it wasn't in cash. Maybe it wasn't in cash. Maybe y'all gave him some stock. Maybe you gave him, I don't know, some crypto or lands, some land, 20K or more. But I don't believe that Drake just settled with you for nothing. And on top of the fact that this was dismissed with prejudice, meaning that somebody said, if you dismiss this, you can't come back no more. That's usually because an agreement has been made. And again, they settled. So let me know in the comments, do you think that iHeartMedia paid Drake in some form or fashion? Now, they may not have paid him, by writing a check, but do you think that there was some type of consideration or something of value given to Drake to get him to dismiss this lawsuit? Let me know what you think in the comments. All right. Okay. Okie dokie. We're going through this quickly. The next story that we are talking about is, so it's no secret that I'm not a big fan of the Kardashians. I don't really care for them as a label, a crew, or whatever. But I really commended Kim for Hey, seriously? I'm working. But I really commended Kim for her work on, prisoner reform and justice and things like that, right? Like she was gonna do like the baby bar or whatever. And I was like, that's really cool. But there is a double-edged sword to being to trying to make your face trying to make yourself the face of a movement. So recently, Kim Kardashian was asking for clemency for a death row inmate who is on death row in Texas. Okay. So she was on her Toby. She was on her social media and she was like, "Hey, this guy's going to be executed. This is wrong." Trying to maybe get some public sentiment. The problem was the picture that she used for the inmate was not of the inmate. It was the picture of an accountant who lives in New York, a gentleman by the name of Ivan Cantu. All right. So now, keep in mind, Ivan Cantu is just some random guy who lives in New York. Kim Kardashian, who has about 350 million followers on social media. 350 million followers on social media, posted the wrong picture of this, death row inmate that she was trying to, help And and I'm not trying to bash her for helping, but you know, again, this is playing with somebody's life. So she put this man's picture on. It was wrong. He said he suffered extreme emotional distress, and I don't know, misidentification and all this stuff. So now he's suing Kim K. I want to say he's suing for like $1 million, $10 million. I don't think he don't deserve all that. I think he might be pushing it a little. But there is a question here about the social responsibility of celebrities, especially when you have a following as large as Kim Kardashian, right? So, if she's not careful with what she posts, she could really ruin someone's life, right? And think about it this way. It costs $250,000 to get Kim Kardashian to do a sponsored post on her social media, right? $250,000 because there are eyes on her. When Kim does something, people watch. When Kim says something, people listen, right? So if Kim is out here putting up the wrong information, it could cause someone to take, wrong actions. Now, I'm not blaming Kim. I'm just saying that I think that there has to be a little bit more responsibility when it comes to the posting. Now, I'm sure when Kim gets the sponsored post, she makes sure that it's good from A to Z. Her assistants have to check that. You got to do that with these activist activities, because you don't want to be in a situation like this where you were trying to help and now you're being sued because someone was hurt by your actions. Okay. So do you think that this man should get any money? Do you think that he deserves $1 million? I think he was trying to get what, or do you think he deserves anything? Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Okay. Okay, so let me close this lady out. And all right. And our last story before we get into our mini lesson tonight. Let me pull this picture up. Oh no, that's not our last one. I forgot about this one. Okay. Who people be knowing I'm working and still want to do this. Hold on. Sorry. Share screen window. Okay. Yeah. If you can, looking at this picture, I'm sure a lot of you will identify it as Professor X from the X-Men. I am a big Marvel nerd. Love the X-Men, at least the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Loved the X-Men cartoons. Did anybody watch X-Men 97? Total fan, right? And if we remember, and if we remember from the comics and from the cartoon, Professor X's powers, he has psychic powers, mainly telepathy and telekinesis, right? He has, other powers, but those are the main ones. He can move things with his mind, he can read your mind, he can talk to you in your mind, all that stuff, right? And we have known about telepathy and telekinesis for some time. Recently, Elon Musty, which is what I'm calling him from now on, Elon Musty, he has so if y'all didn't know, he has a company called Neuralink, and this company is building brain implants. They're building chips to put in people's brains. They actually have done it already. They have a few what do you call that? Test subjects that they've done. Now, the point of the Neuralink, the whatever the mind chip is essentially to, I guess, to help people, who've been in accidents, if they can't move their limbs, to help them. So like helping them to move and helping them to get their thoughts across. So Elon Musk has filed trademarks for telepathy and telekinesis for Neuralink, right? We're going to look up the definition of telepathy. All right. The definition of telepathy is the apparent communication from one mind to another without speech or signs. And so being able to communicate without talking. And then we have telekinesis. The definition of that is the ability to move objects at a distance by mental power or other non physical means. So, now these are essentially the goals of the Neuralink chips. Elon Musk wants people, I guess, who have limb. Hold up, let me look it up for y'all. Hold on. Hold on. Neuralink. Here we go. So, company, the first product will be called telepathy and will allow people with paralysis the ability to control a computer or phone just by thinking. And then he has the telekinesis one. Where's the telekinesis? Telekinesis is there. It's supposed to, because of the chip, they're supposed to be able to move a robotic arm, right? So essentially, if you have this chip in your brain, you're going to be able to get your thoughts out onto the computer, or you're going to be able to move some type of robotic thing. So if you're a person who has mobility issues, I don't think this is going to work. Um, but I would like to hear your opinions. Do you think that this is a good marketing strategy for Neuralink? Telepathy is supposed to be that chip, or that service is to help people who cannot speak, or right, to help them to get their thoughts to a computer. And then the telekinesis chip is supposed to help you, move some type of robotic arm with the chip, your mind, and move things. Do you think that that is a good marketing strategy, or do you think that telekinesis and telepathy are too common and generic, or it's too close to what those actually are to work? Let me know your thoughts about that. I think that Elon Musk has better things he can do with his time. You need to go back home to South Africa and take care of your things, okay? Stop bothering us over here. But that is me. Okay, so now we're getting to, how did I miss that one? That's so crazy. So now we're getting to our last story of the evening. And this has to do with concurrent trademarks. Okay. So there is a famous example that I use all the time when it comes to classes of goods for trademarks. Okay. Well, let me back up a little bit. When you are filing your trademark, right? When you have a trademark, you don't own it, in perpetuity and nobody can use it. You only own it in your industry, right? So, think about, we have Dove chocolate and we have Dove soap. Okay, those are two different industries, but the products have the same name. But it's okay because they do not sell the same products. Dove soap doesn't delve into chocolate, and Dove chocolate does not delve into soap. So they can coexist because they are different classes of goods. Now, you may be wondering, why do I have a picture of a bottle of water on the screen, and what does that have to do with Dove soap and Dove chocolate? So, there is a company there's a water a company that sells bottled water called Given, and it's spelled like that, Givn, right? Now again, they sell water bottled water. There is another company called IBMG, um, and they have recently trademarked the same word, Givn, given for cosmetics, makeup, mascara, foundation, whatever. The water company Given sued IBMG for trademark infringement. They're saying that, look, we already out here in the Given game. It can't be two Givens out here, period. Because Given, the way we spell it is so unique. What do you think the court said? Or not the court, but the trademark board. Now keep in mind, IBMG, this company, they all they do is makeup, okay? And they have about 27 different trademarks registered. I actually went to the trademark website to look them up, and they're legit. So the trademark board, they looked at the facts and they were like, Given, girl, y'all sell water. IBMG sells makeup. There is absolutely no way someone is going to confuse your product for theirs. They're not even going to be in the same aisle. So this is why, you understand how the classes of goods work when you're filing your trademark. It only gives you power over that word, or over whatever you're trademarking in your industry. That's why Dove soap and Dove chocolate can coexist. All right. Okay. So, those were the stories that I wanted to share with you this evening. Thank you all for being a wonderful audience. If you have any questions about the stories that we covered this evening, what did we talk about? We talked about a lot. We talked about a man facing 20 years for piracy. We talked about ASCAP suing clubs and bars for playing music without a license. We talked about Kanye settling the Donda Academy lawsuit. Elon Musk filing trademarks for telepathy and telekinesis. We talked about Journey Smollett's husband trying to get some of her retirement money. Daddy Yankee is suing his ex-wife for $100 million. Drake settled with iHeartMedia. Kim K is being sued by a man whose picture she used by mistake as a death row inmate. And we talked about a water company trying to sue a cosmetics company because of similar names. Okay. So if you have questions about any of those, you can feel free to DM me, or, write your questions. Write your questions in the comment area. I will get to it. I thought we were going to be able to get to the cheat sheet section tonight, but I'm actually running a little behind. I thought I was gonna have a little bit more time to get to it. So we will do that next time. But thank you all for being so patient with me. Sorry for leaving y'all hanging last week, but I had to take care of me. I had to take care of me. But I will be back next week. Okay. Bye guys.